Welcome to Luna and the Druid.
Hi,
There we are,
here we
Luna,
are.
Jan, and tonight we're doing the second episode about the shadow work. There's two reasons for it. Last week we had a bit of a glitch where half of the discussion wasn't hearable. So today we're gonna do it again and do better, and we're gonna do some new aspects, especially on the aspect of working with yourself, with your own inner shadow, and especially if the shadow brings you really, really bad things. But before we go into the shadow, uh, it's the week of the full moon. And
It
what
is
moon do we have
indeed.
this week?
It's the full moon, which is called the beaver moon. I believe it's a full moon in Taurus, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
that's right.
It's a great time to release every limiting belief, everything which is connected to our beliefs about love, but also beauty and relationships, because Venus talks about relationships, especially that it falls on Friday, and Friday is a day of which is, excuse me, but somebody here wants to say hi as well. Friday is a day ruled by Venus, which is all about love, connections, relationships, also physical connections between the people, which can sometimes overpower and rule people, especially within the shadow aspect. But I think we'll get to that a little
Yeah,
bit later.
yeah.
So it's the best time. I'm already experiencing and I'm already feeling the full moon. And recently it is manifesting for me as a bit of annoyance, which is a new way of experiencing full moon's energy. But as I said, it's a good time to do some rituals to free yourself from limiting beliefs about love, from living one more time and in any language, limiting beliefs about you deserving love. That would be an important aspect of it. Also, deserving goodness, deserving abundance, deserving wealth, valuing your own work, your creativity, aspects like this. So I encourage you to connect with that energy.
Yes, and interesting. You mentioned Venus as being the ruler of this time of year and of the Friday. Of course, in our local pantheon, where we work with Odin on Wednesday, Thor on Thursday, we have Freya on Friday, and which is the Viking or the Nordic goddess
Nordic.
that's related to Venus. So that's
True.
completely within the scope of things that Venus and Friday are the same. Yeah.
It's amazing how things intertwine and how everything is connected, and all the goddesses come from the stars, come from the planet. The aspects show up within them as well.
Yeah. And there are archetypes. So there are archetypes, and that's
Mhm.
why you see similar goddesses in gods and goddesses in the Viking pantheon, in the Celtic pantheon, in the Greek and Roman pantheon, in the Egyptian pantheon. They all have the same aspects. Maybe a good idea for a show one day to
Yeah.
look into who is who's a big who is who in the realm of archetypal gods and goddesses.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a good idea.
So when we're talking about archetypes, we come to Carl Jung.
Yes.
And Carl Jung brought us all the archetypes from the hero's journey, which were translated into the fool's journey.
Mhm.
And
Speaking of Fool's Journey, we have the entire playlist, entire series about the Fool's Journey, where we go deeper in that subject and in that topic, where we discuss what we can learn from certain archetypes and the hero's journey, the fool's journey in general, what every single card teaches us, and how we can embrace it.
yeah, yeah.
So I
it's
recommend going into our channel, into that playlist. You will find it there.
yeah, you'll find it interesting because there's an episode about every card, and when a card has two meanings in two different decks, two archetypes, we have two. episodes about every card. So
Mm,
in total, I think there's 23 videos there.
yeah, so we go
Oh,
quite deep.
interesting. Quite deep, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very interesting.
But of course, Carl Jung doesn't only give us the archetypes, but he was also the one who popularized the shadow,
Mm,
the dark part, the unseen part, the part that we even don't recognize within ourselves or hide within ourselves. Um, our deepest emotions, our deepest hidden emotions,
mm,
and they go by the name of the shadow. And Carl Jung was the one who popularized that as well. So a great philosopher who brought us great things to talk
mm.
about. Yeah,
I think the shadow is very misunderstood
yeah,
because it's that part which is being rejected. And often we tend to reject things we don't understand or we don't like about ourselves. And that's where the shadow grows. And that's where the shadow can take over from that subconscious because we don't allow ourselves to feel, see, and bring those aspects of ourselves to the surface because it's not always about bad things about us.
mm,
Sometimes are there things which we don't accept. But in my opinion, shadow can be actually a very creative space as well.
of course, because it can show us new aspects of self, and it can, in a good way. Uh, we can observe ourselves. We can identify patterns within ourselves. Our own, like you said, our own limiting beliefs often come from the shadow,
Mm,
um, and we can reflect on it, meditate on it. So we can learn. We can learn a lot from our hidden aspects of self,
absolutely.
and that's so beautiful. Um, when not addressed properly, we can see other stuff. We see, for instance, something someone says hurts you, and it leads to aggression or anger. And
Mhm.
I always say, when you're angry at someone, look in the mirror first.
Well, with anger, anger is a very important emotion. First of all, it's a signal from your body that there is something happening. It's a really important information. Second of all, and I think this is the most important part about anger, is that underlying emotion leading to anger is actually pain. Anger is always a signal that we hurt, that we're in pain.
Yeah, that we're in pain,
Mhm,
especially when this point of pain, like I always said, the wound that's there,
mhm.
is being touched
Yeah,
or being touched
triggered.
triggered
This
in a
is,
negative way, and
yeah.
and it comes out in that. So that's a big negative trait of the shadow.
Mhm.
We see it also in envy, jealousy. When we are not good enough, think we are not good enough, someone else is better. Fear of failure, fear
Mhm.
of even fear of success. You know,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
the pain body and the ego are very much related to the shadow.
But it's also a fear and anger about other people being different, being successful in what they do, but the differences which we don't understand can also trigger because very often we think that this is the way we should be doing things and we don't allow others to express themselves fully the way they would want. This can also bring a lot of shadow aspects within ourselves, a lot of lack of acceptance,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that feeling of we know better.
Yeah, we know better, and
Mhm.
so we should control things.
Yeah,
And that's also one thing.
control. That's a
Control,
really good one.
letting go, letting go. Yeah.
Hmm.
Can we allow to let go of things that we have no control over? That
Sometimes it's not easy.
it can be very hard, and it's the
Hmm.
shadow who tells us that and tells us that we need to control, and
Yeah.
that's the negative part of the shadow.
Yeah, well, the feeling of having control gives that feeling of power, which very often it's an illusion.
It always is. It always
Hmm.
is. The big, uh, it's not necessarily the fact that we get triggered by something, but it's the way we react to the
Hmm.
trigger. That's that's when we overcome our shadow, that we can step over our shadow, because we respond accordingly in a right way, and let go of the things
Mm.
we cannot change,
Yeah.
and knowing
So,
the difference.
so a quick tip: if you, dear viewers, experience any of those emotions we're talking about, I would strongly suggest to find out about your root chakra. How is that energy center expressing within your body? Because from my own experience and from experience of clients I work with, I noticed that often shadow work, especially when it's being expressed as a feeling and the need of control, has a lot to do with a blocked root chakra, with an imbalance in that area of life where we feel unsecured, where or we have that need of feeling more secured, which we don't have.
And work on it and heal it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Healing,
yeah,
doing some energy work, doing
yeah,
some meditations. You can ask an energy healer to check it with your pendulum, but you can also scan your body yourself.
yeah.
And if you don't know how to do it, I recommend the vast of the internet and the vast ocean of YouTube. There's plenty of meditations how to do it, and plenty of information how to do a body scan and what to do with blocked chakras. Perhaps that's another good topic for Luna and the
Oh,
Druid for a
definitely.
different
Or do a better,
episode, how
yeah,
to do energy work.
and a body scan meditation.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
absolutely.
we should put it on our to-do list.
Yes. But let's not go there
Let's not
today.
go
Let's
there.
focus on the
Yeah,
shadow.
let's focus on the good things of the shadow. You know, with the parts, or the shadow that isn't inherently bad. We can, many parts encourage us to embrace the shadow, seeing it as a part of authenticity and self-discovery, and then uh, embracing the shadow and working with the shadow
Mm,
can lead to healing and wholeness.
mm. When we're open to it,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah. And we can heal the inner wounds, and we lead to a sense, a sense of inner wholeness,
Mhm.
self-awareness. How about that?
Oh, that's a big aspect, because having self awareness or awareness in general, this gives us the opportunity to create change and make something
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah. You see a lot of people who are kind of self-aware, but they see themselves as the only center of the universe,
Mm.
and they don't see their own position
Yeah.
relating to other ones, and that's where the shadow works negatively. But when you're working on it, when you look into the mirror of yourself, the mirror of your ego, then you become self-aware and say, okay, this and this is what I'm doing, and you can observe that, and you can observe that like unjudgmental. Say, okay, this is what I'm doing. Mm, okay, I accept that. Maybe I can do better next time, but I accept it, and
Mm.
I see my life as a movie passing by, and I'm I'm the main character in the movie. Yes, I am, but there's still a lot to
Yeah.
learn. Yeah,
And the opposite of that is undervaluing yourself,
Jesus, yeah,
belittling yourself, not seeing yourself for you truly are, your value, what you really bring to this world.
yeah,
Judgment towards ourselves or others, and not acknowledging the goodness, because very often we tend to see others in such a bright light, but when it comes to ourselves, we are so much more critical towards the same thing, towards the same aspect. We
yeah,
are very often, we can be our own worst critic and
as well.
our
Yeah,
own worst
yeah,
enemy because of that.
yeah. That's so
Mhm.
true. That's so true. But see yourself as you are who you are. You
Mhm.
cannot be someone or somebody else, and this is your big assignment. This is your big job in life,
Mhm.
to acknowledge yourself, to find yourself, to create the masterpiece that this life is.
unless you have that need to change, then you do the work
Yeah,
and you make effort in order to find yourself where you truly want to be.
that's it.
I think it's important to use those aspects, use self awareness, use those discoveries about ourselves for our good and use them as a motivation to grow and learn rather than beat ourselves down. Oh, because I'm
No,
not an expert in this field, I will stay here forever beating myself up and being jealous about other people who are
yeah,
successful, but I
yeah,
am not.
yeah. And and when you work on that, so you work on improving actually the relationship with yourself,
Mhm.
and that's like the biggest thing is when the relationship with
Mm,
yourself is okay, you can also have a good relationship with the other,
yeah,
because
absolutely.
it's
I think where it
from that
starts.
for yeah, where it starts. Heal yourself first before
Mhm.
you work on someone else. Save yourself first.
Yeah.
Take always say take good care of yourself, because by taking good care of yourself, you allow yourself to be strong, and to be good into helping others.
Very popular topic, which I tend to work with people and talk about a lot with my clients, is the aspect of self love.
Important. Yeah.
How do we expect other people to love us if we don't know how to love ourselves? And this is the key, the self love and the learning how to have a healthy relationship with ourselves will manifest on other relationships as well. But I don't think it will manifest and work other way around. Usually we will manifest triggering relationships which will show us where is that shadow and coming to the surface, what and which part of ourselves require healing and work.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, we have two Magdalenas in the house saying hello.
Oh, hello,
So lovely
Magdalenas.
to have you here.
Hello to Magdalenas. That's so lovely.
Yes, thank you for saying hi
Welcome.
and dropping in.
Yeah.
Guys, for those who are watching, feel free to share in the comments how the shadow is, how you see the shadow, your own shadow of other people.
Yeah.
How is it manifesting for you? Where is that pattern you noticed, that negative pattern
Mhm.
you noticed within your life? I'm just curious to see.
Yeah. Likewise. Likewise.
Mhm.
So, shadow, personal growth, face your fears, break through limitations, break through limiting beliefs, and become stronger,
Mhm.
become resilient, and become your true self. All the others are already taken. So be yourself.
I think another really important aspect within the shadow is the feeling of shame,
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
the emotion which we tend to feel so often because we either made a mistake, made a wrong
Mm.
decision, we dislike our bodies, we dislike certain outcomes. Shame is a really negative and a low vibrational emotion which keeps us and stops us from growing, stops us from reaching our own potential.
Yeah.
How many times I see people who have really powerful their own power, the powerful creative work they could do and could bring to the world, could bring their gifts out to the world, helping others. But they're ashamed of being either different. And we had the conversation today at the table about being different and how hard it is to be different, growing up in a certain environment and finding ourselves not fitting them because of our different beliefs, different way of we are, different way of the way we behave. And how many times other people will shame us because of the way we think. It's
Yeah.
not the way they think. And they will shame us
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah, and it happens, and it has happened to me, and it happens to lots of people. Especially, for instance, like spirituality and
Mhm.
awakening is something that can be frowned upon by people who just don't get it. But the fact that you don't get it doesn't mean that it's not good.
Yeah,
You just don't get it. Stop
exactly.
about it, and if other people are on a different track, that's also fine. It's where we live in a world that at this moment we live in a world where there's so much division between people, and that's the bad part of the shadow.
Hmm.
That because it divides people, people think they're right, the other is wrong, or I'm doing something, the other doesn't accept it from me, and now I feel I'm wrong, and now I'm ashamed, and now I dive within and withdraw from everything because I'm afraid of who I am, who I really am, and yeah, it's definitely good to overcome that
Hmm.
and to be your true self. And I've had the shame a lot, but I can say that most of it has gone.
Um, I'm listening to a wonderful book, Healing the Witch Wound, and a lot of that shame and a lot of our shadows about that as well come from that aspect of the what is called the witch wound. What is the witch wound? Is that genetical trauma which we tend to carry, especially within women, that many years during the times of burning witches at the stake
Who
we had
wrote
to hide.
who wrote that, Luna? Do you know
Oh, I
that?
can't remember the author. I'll probably leave it in the comments.
But the
Celeste, can't remember the author
the
name.
title that the title of the book is The Witch Wound. I just left it in the
Yes,
comments. Yeah.
yes, and she talks about that shame you mentioned. That for many years, witches, people of wisdom, people who knew better, people who better in brackets, obviously, people on the spiritual path, people of deeper understanding were shamed for their beliefs because it was against the patriarchy.
Yes.
Um, and we tend to feel it and we tend to have that wound within us. And this is an important aspect to discover about ourselves. So we're back to
Mm,
that awareness as well. So
yeah.
I do recommend finding out more about it. I found this work fascinating,
Lovely.
uh, because I discovered about myself that for many years, what I was doing, that type of work, working with cards and tarot, I wasn't sharing as much about it. Obviously, now it's different, but in the past, I was so ashamed of being judged because
Yeah.
I was judged because people think that it's some woo stuff, that it is not a valuable type of work we do, because for many people this is more of a fun type of obviously there will be seekers who will take an advantage of the reading and they know how to use that for their self-growth discovery and
Hmm.
gaining clarity. But
Definitely.
for many people this is just a fun aspect of how I will see what the future holds. um, and I wasn't as honest about it. I wasn't as upfront and I wasn't as open about what I do because there was a lot of judgment and still
Hmm.
is from the
Hmm.
people from my close surroundings. Very often I hear negative comments. Um,
Yeah.
and it's tough because we want to fit. We want to be a part of a society. We want to be accepted, especially by those who are the closest to us.
Yeah. And that's, of course, is also one of the other things that if people can't accept you for who you are, would it be better
Mm,
to let go of the ties?
yeah.
I know a lot of there's been a study in Druidism, and it seems that especially in um, the more conservative parts of the US, that there's people who actually hide the fact that they study witchcraft or druidry or being hedge witches or
Yeah,
druids. They hide it even from the people closest to them.
absolutely.
And
And
let let going on YouTube or going out into the world and present yourself as a druid. You know, it's
mhm.
uh,
Still 21st century, the freedom of speech, and
yeah,
still we
freedom of
have
religion.
to, yes, and still we have to deal with the same aspects our
Yeah,
ancestors who were burning at the stakes, because it wasn't just, first of all, it wasn't witches, it were women, most of the women, but
just
also
women. Yeah,
men.
yeah,
Also men. It's like 20% of those people who were burned on stake, it's actually men as well, because those were people who valued freedom of speech. They had that personal power and connection to themselves, and that was dangerous. That was against the
yeah,
party. I can't say this word. The agenda,
yeah.
which is not new to all. And Iron Firehorse says, "Shame and guilt, feel the worst."
Hello, Iron.
And this is a really low vibration energy luring us into our own hell.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So we come to the conclusion that there's good parts of the shadow, there are different parts of the shadow, and there's also what I would call, or what you could traditionally call, the devilish part of the shadow,
Mm.
the temptation, the
Yes.
temptation part of the shadow, where you urge, where you have an inner wanting, an inner craving to do things you officially, openly wouldn't allow in or even allow to show on the
We're
outside.
talking about my youth now. Just joking, or not.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it could be just really bad things, like harming yourself, but obviously, also really bad things where you harm someone else. For instance, when you're in a relationship and you get this craving to cheat, or when you're um, not even, but when you have the opportunity to take things from people that trust you, and you take it because
Mm-hmm.
you have this craving. I'm not talking about someone starving and stealing a bun or an apple, but it's craving for things that you actually know you shouldn't do and are more or less tempted into doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's also a part of the shadow. And how do we work on that?
Um, well, first of all, we have to start from, again, acknowledging that aspect about ourselves. But I think the good way is to ask ourselves a question: why that urge is within us? Why do we have that in the first place? Iron Firehorse says here, my daughter's father brought up my spirituality and use of natural remedies against me in the court. Oh my goodness,
Oh
this is
Jesus,
ridiculous. This is
that's what we've been
the
talking about.
times
Oh
of
Jesus, yeah,
burning
yeah,
witches all over again. It's,
yeah,
guys, it's still going on.
yeah.
Maybe not as much and not to the point that it used to be that the people
Well,
are burning at the stake,
well,
but
I went undercover.
still shaming,
Yeah.
still using this against somebody in the court. So I went undercover. So it's something we have to consider in certain situations in Canada. I'm so sorry that you had to go through this.
Yeah.
But it shows the little and lack of understanding, and also how powerful the mainstream is, which convinced us that the science is the only way.
Yeah.
Science keeps disproving itself every couple of years.
Of
I don't have
course.
anything against the
Yeah.
science.
No.
However, what I am against is that disconnection we have right now from Mother Nature, from centuries of using herbal medicine, natural medicine, into 100 years actually, where the modern pharmacology has started and has begun. it completely wiped off, and we are being told that this is the only way. But the pharmaceuticals, what they do actually is they poison our bodies because it's chemicals, it's artificial substances which mask and mark the symptoms rather than actually cure and heal. What herbs does, which the natural remedies can do. I'm not saying it's the case all the time, don't get me wrong. However, I'm a strong believer that being in balance with nature, this is the way. And we were being forced to completely disconnect, obey to some certain rules, like church rules or politician rules, the way the government leads countries and tells what is good and what is not. We were convinced that sitting in front of the telly in the evening is better than I don't know, reading a book and actually growing and learning about ourselves. But it's another topic. I don't want to go further with this. I want to stick to that topic
yeah,
of
because
shadow
it's
more.
about controlling
Yes.
the masses and stuff like that. Controlling the
Which
masses.
could be another
another
episode
topic.
if we
Yeah,
wanted to do it.
No, but when you have these cravings, what should you do? Look, so first you have to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
Why am I feeling this?
Where is that desire
Where is it coming from? What did I lose in my life, in my upbringing, or um, in my relation to other people? Why am I not whole, and why do I have this craving, or what deeper feeling or wound lies behind it?
Not to mention that there will be people which we come across in our lives which will be soulless, because yes, there are beings on this planet which are completely corrupted, completely without the light.
Yep.
And for them it will be normal to act like this, act from that very low ego, act from desires, especially the physical desires.
Yeah.
But for
Is it narcissists, psychopaths, both of them?
yeah,
all of them.
absolutely. Sorry, need to move a little bit.
Yep. Narcissists and psychopaths. Yeah. But these are people who can't even think about the consequences. And while normal people, that's the key, huh? That's the key. Okay, what if I give in to these cravings? What do I give? If I give in to this temptation? What will happen? And can you see the consequences?
And that's the biggest success devil achieved. The devil here, obviously in the bracket, but convinced us that there are no consequences to our action. That you can eat an entire bag of crisps, shove it with a 6-pack of beers, and have a bar of chocolate, and there are no consequences. Of course they are. Your body will get poisoned through it.
Definitely.
But there are no consequences of taking away something from other people because they're weaker and then we are stronger. This is a very dark aspect of
the shadow.
Yeah, of the shadow.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so you have to really address not only the urge itself, which is a symptom. You have addressed the symptoms, but you especially have to address the deeper cause. Why am I feeling this? What's wrong with me? And what's lying beneath it? What's really hidden? What's really hidden in the shadows?
The one way of naming that and finding out is asking yourself, how do I feel? What do I feel? What is my body telling me? And tapping into that wisdom of our body, knowledge our body possesses and communicates to us, mainly through feelings and emotions.
Yep. So the shadow becomes a teacher.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If we use it wisely and if we are open to its teachings, it can become one of our biggest and greatest teachers.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so actually, even if we feel these cravings, we can turn it to our benefits and flip the pancake, and create balance again, create
Yeah.
judgment, create adjustment.
Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, shadow is really important
It's
on our
important.
journey.
Definitely, yeah.
That's how we learn, that's how we grow, that's how we learn more about the world, about its laws, also about consequences
That's it.
as
Yeah.
well. But it may be a painful journey, it may be a difficult and challenging journey.
But ending in growth.
And speaking of
Always.
journey, Iron Fire Horse says here, part of my journey, well, it's been quite the adventure. Iron Fire Horse, I think you could write a book about what you've experienced, because every time you bring something to the table from your life, it's another story of its own kind.
Yeah.
So think about it, because that will be really
Yeah, don't
interesting.
wait too long. I make sure it becomes a bestseller, and then either a movie or a series,
Yes.
a Netflix series about these things.
A trilogy.
A trilogy. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong. I'm not laughing of that, but you seem to experience a lot
Yeah,
in
definitely.
a short period
Yeah,
of time.
yeah.
But again, it shows me
What
the
you are made of.
courageous nature of
Yeah.
your soul.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you show what you're made of, and
Mhm.
you can be proud of yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about acting on that impulse and what it brings, what's in discovering if I will listen to that impulse, because we were talking about desires and following desires. It's a good question to answer and ask ourselves, what is that you talked about that. What I'm trying to come back to is that scale, scale
The
thing.
sliding scale. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
talked about.
Well, the thing is, and that's the most important thing, is when you get away with it,
Mhm.
it becomes worse and worse.
Because eventually it will bite you.
That's the thing. You think you get away with it once,
Mhm.
and when you've got away with it once, you think I can get away with it
Yeah.
twice, and just
Yeah.
rinse and repeat
Yes,
till
exactly.
the shit hits the fan.
Exactly. Affects your life, your
Yeah.
relationships, your works, your
Yeah.
finances.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. It will
And
always backfire.
you have
Because that's
such
karma.
you have such a good reminder on your lap.
I was going to say that right now we are in the times that before we had to wait for another lifetime to get our own karma.
Yeah.
But right now, karma is almost instant. And
can bite
yes, of course, we will do and learn and come back on this planet or a different one to learn and experience the karma. But right now, it's way quicker. Things act way quicker and come back to us way quicker
Yep.
than it used to, because of the energetical changes on this planet, on the dimension we are in.
Mhm.
We're becoming higher vibrational place. So things will manifest quicker. So it's easier to get karma, either good or bad.
That's it. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's always what we never should forget. When you think of bad things,
Yeah.
think of good things. But normally we forget about the good things,
Mm.
and that's also funny, because we forget about the good things. Karma doesn't forget.
Yeah, exactly.
Karma will come for you in the good things and the other things.
What we give out comes back to us
3 times or 9 times.
Not always in a form that we would expect it.
Yep. Or
But
from a
it
different
works.
direction.
And
Yeah.
there can give you plenty of examples how it works. And I think you guys yourself can see it manifesting in your life as well.
Yeah. So anything to add to it, Luna?
Mm.
Or are we...
For those, excuse me, I'm so sorry. For those who are watching us live, is there any aspect you would like us to discuss and go deeper within the shadow aspects? Please let us know in the comments. But I will reveal a little secret because I noticed Jan already spreading some cards on the table. So perhaps it would be a good time to move into everybody's favorite part, which is where
A
we pull some
reading.
cards.
Yeah.
Tonight it'll be only Jan pulling cards because I have here our producer on the lap, which is very difficult to. She's getting heavier. So
Then you do the questions and I pull the cards.
Yeah, we decided to use 4 deep questions today about our shadow aspects, about facing that more difficult part of ourselves, the more evil perhaps part of ourselves, because we all have that somewhere within us, because light cannot exist without the darkness, and the darkness cannot exist without the light.
Yeah, we saw it already when we pulled the Knight of Discs yesterday. It's the first card. That's someone who looks solid, who looks honest, and he has this unseen aspects of self.
And I think that's the most difficult part to accept, that we are not just made out of light, even though we all want to see ourselves in the good.
As beings of light, angels.
Angels. Yeah. We are, yes, but
definitely
every angel was a fallen angel at some point of their journey, because that's how we grow, through facing the darkness and going through that dark aspects of ourselves. That's how we learn as souls. We choose to do bad in order to learn consequences. This is normal and natural. Part of growing and learning, growing as a soul. So, okay.
Question 1.
What is this urge present?
So we talk
Why
about.
is this urge?
So
present?
we talk about the urges that would get us in trouble.
Yes.
So why is the urge here? The urge is here.
What do we have?
The Hermit.
Oh,
the Hermit. Yeah. And the Hermit is, of course.
It's funny that you pulled that Hermit when we were talking about spirituality and spiritual seeking of the truth, of the light.
That's what the Hermit does, of course. And why is this in the Hermit? The Hermit, the solitude. You could even say loneliness, not being acknowledged, not being seen, or just hiding. And the Hermit is also about self-chosen isolation. So why is this urge present? Because we are not, we could say the Hermit is a reverse. We are not contemplating right. We are not in contact with our deeper selves. We are not in contact with others. We're isolated with. It comes from loneliness, isolation.
Yeah, not met needs, not met
needs,
desires.
not met. Yeah. And we have the hellhounds here, and we have the sperm and the egg here. So that's our sexual desires that are not met. As a hermit, lots of darkness. in what's general a very spiritual and good card. But that's the. Oh Jesus, yes, the clergy, of course. They have the same. They have this. We have we have had the things in the Catholic Church and stuff, where the needs were not met, and they were met, but in the shadow,
absolutely,
in the dark,
absolutely.
So.
Second question. In the second card, we'll answer the question of what deeper feeling or wound is beneath this urge.
What deeper feeling or wound is beneath this urge? The wound of not having, the wound of not flowing, the wound of not being able to celebrate, to communicate. The Three of Cups is a card that represents celebration, that represents togetherness, that represents social interaction.
Celebration
of light. And you can see the cups are overflowing, all three of them. And Mercury, in Cancer. So there is emotions, and there's lack of the outlet of emotions, and lack
Mhm.
of the outlet of communication.
Literally, it says on the card here abundance, so lack of feeling of abundance.
Lack of the
Because
feeling of abundance. Yeah, like the hermit has the lack of the feeling of interaction, and we have here the abundance of communication and and flow of love of emotions. Hmm.
very often the shadow will come to the surface because we block our emotions, we block how we really feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Moving on. What would acting on this impulse really bring?
So, what would acting on the negative,
Mhm.
harmful
Mhm.
impulses bring?
Yeah. What is this? Because I can't
Six, the
see
six,
anything.
the six of cups. So that's generosity and success. That's an illusion. It's an illusionary success.
Mhm.
We reverse the card here. It's illusionary success. It's the idea of we're making it, we're doing it, we're getting away with it, but we don't.
Yeah.
Because that's also one of the meanings of the cards is that the success that this card represents uh, uh, is easily taken away from you. It's not lasting. That's what we have in the 9 out of 10 of discs. But in the six, it looks like success, but it isn't. It's an illusion.
To me, Six of Cups is the energy
Yeah,
of
it's discs,
either. Oh, that's
pentacles,
discs. Pentacles.
pentacles.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. I thought you said cups. That's why.
No, no, no. Discs,
That's why I was
pentacles.
so confused when you started to talk about success.
No, no, it's the pentacles.
Okay, because
Yeah.
what I was going to say, because I saw it as cups, which to me made sense with
Yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Because
Of
Six
course.
of Cups is the energy for me of bringing stuff, things from the past.
Yeah.
But with the Six of Discs, it's also that balance. To me, it's the even give and take, which is lacking here.
Yeah. So what would bring us here? It would bring us success short-lived.
Hmm.
It's not lasting. That's the
Yeah,
whole thing of it. Yeah.
illusion of
The illusion.
success.
Yeah.
How you
Yeah.
said it, that short term. How can I address the root issue without harming others of my or myself?
The
What is this?
nine of wands.
Nine of Wands, the wounded healer.
The wounded healer. Yeah. Or in this case, also what the card also represents. It's called strength actually, and it's the sun. The sun in Sagittarius. So the sun and the moon are in the card.
Mm,
So how can I address the root issue without harming others? This card also talks about setting boundaries.
yes, absolutely.
Setting boundaries, fencing yourself in. So set your boundaries and hang on to them. Set your wants, passion. Set your passionate boundaries. Set the boundaries of meaning, of inspiration, and of the big why in your life, your life's purpose. You know,
But
look,
also respecting other people's boundaries.
boundaries and life's purpose as well. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's seeking for the big purpose of life, and the big purpose of life can never ever be harming yourself or harming others.
Mm.
You know, I work with the Golden Dawn Crowley deck, and Crowley was the one who coined the phrase, "Do what you will, shall be the law. Love is the law. Love under will, and if it harm none, do what you will." And none is the other and the self.
To me, Nine of Wands represents the energy of learning from the past. We have, like, the image I have in front of my eyes is the image of the Nine of Wands from the Light Seer card.
Oh,
Unfortunately, I don't have this deck with me today, where there is a woman standing in front of the wands, which to me represents her experiences and her learning from that, taking the knowledge and the wisdom and bringing it forward and using it for her advantage. Because We all have we all have our past. We all had our opportunities to learn, with which some people would call mistakes. But I
Hmm.
always say there are no mistakes. There are opportunities to learn, because that's how we grow. That's how we learn through difficult and challenging times. And poor Iron Fire Horse got triggered again because of us today. She says, the Tree of Cups always made me think of myself and my two daughters. Now it feels different, and it shows you another aspect which is calling for your attention and
Hmm.
requires some loving and healing energy here.
Definitely. Yeah.
Mm,
So interesting reading. Interesting that the last two cards um, both have aspects of the moon.
mhm.
We see the moon in the bottom of this card, and we see at the top here in the red part, we see a little logo of the moon, and
Mm,
these are these hidden aspects. The moon, of
yeah,
course, representing the bright side and the dark side.
yeah,
The
and we
beaver moon, huh? The beaver moon has its shadow. Let's be honest.
absolutely, and we can't see the dark side of the moon,
No,
because we are not willing to show those aspects of ourselves to
that's
others,
yeah.
because we
So
want to be that shiny, bright moon. And by the way, the beaver moon is very specific because it has that bluish kind of
yeah,
frosty color to it. Um, I'm conflicted about boundaries I've put in place, but for now they remain. I have to go back over these and give them some thought later. Well, the boundaries can be difficult because sometimes it's hard to keep them if we have to face other people fighting them, other people, or other people not respecting them. And boundaries is something which can change any time, because if we change and grow, our boundaries will grow and change with us as well. But in my opinion, it is really important to set them in order to protect ourselves, in order to me, setting boundaries is showing other people how much we value ourselves or not if we don't set them.
hmm, absolutely.
And some people watching this tonight know something about it, or should know something about it. That's just a private comment on to one of our viewers.
Okay,
I had this discussion today about boundaries.
okay, okay.
So, yeah.
Well, boundaries is definitely a thing, and
Which could be another topic for Luna and the Druid.
so we're gonna make some notes, and we have enough. I think we have enough for another year.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. By the way, if there is a topic you would like us to talk about, you would like us to go deeper, you would like us to express our way of looking and viewing that, please do share in the comments below this live or in any other comments. And we're here for you guys, and we would
Yeah.
love to deliver.
Yeah, yeah. And I would say to everybody, respect your boundaries, respect your own boundaries, set your boundaries,
Mhm.
uh, ask, be relentless with others, that they should respect also your
Yeah.
boundaries, and
Iron
uh,
Fire Horse points very important aspect about having boundaries is that
feeling the need to protect yourself,
exactly,
and that's very extremely important.
yeah.
And I don't know what I was going to say, but
I'm sorry.
I said it. I think I said it. We protect ourselves, and yeah, make sure to take good care of ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If we're lucky enough, there will be people who will take care of us. But the truth to be told, we have to learn how to count on ourselves, and sometimes ourselves only.
That's
And
it.
that's where boundaries come in handy. And that's also when facing our own shadow can be really helpful.
Definitely.
And with that said, thank you so much for tonight's
Yeah.
episode,
Thank
for
you for
being here
joining.
with us. We loved to see those who joined us live, who commented, but we also send love to those who are rewatching this later.
Yep.
Don't be a stranger. Drop a comment. Let us know that you watched that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
it was a pleasure.
Have a pleasurable full moon
Yes.
later this week. And
Absolutely.
it's an interesting one.
And breathe.
Breathe. Keep on breathing. Okay, let's bye.
Take care, guys.
Take
Lots
care.
of love.
Bye-bye.